Okay guys, so I wanted to go ahead and make one more video about something that I have actually changed on the pistol. Now, just to clarify, the competition frame with 4,037 rounds on it is on the right, and my backup gun, which has like something like 150 rounds through it maybe, is on the left. So that is the only difference that you're going to see between the two. But I did decide to make one change, and the change is pretty darn simple. Out of the box, the guns are great. This is probably one of those guns where you pick it up and you're like, wow, man, this really doesn't need a lot of changes. If you've ever handled Glocks, M&Ps, HKs that have had custom work done to them, like grip stippling, contouring of the frames, undercutting the trigger guards, reducing the beaver tail areas, all of those kind of modifications, you know that there's a pretty big difference in what you can do between a stock polymer frame and then something that's been worked over to really fit your hand. Now, because I shoot USPSA production, obviously I can't go ahead and start undercutting the gun, doing all kinds of crazy things to it to completely change the actual grip. Now, one thing that you can do, at least as of September 2nd, 2014, is you can bevel the magwell. There are some restrictions there. I would refer you to the USPSA rule book just to make sure that you're staying within the confines of the rule, and that has to do with the reduction in the overall dimensions of the actual magwell, like how much material you can take off. But again, read the rule book if you're curious about that. But anyway, my reasoning behind this is as follows. On the left, we've got our unmodified frame. And what you can see is that it's a very kind of squared off, trapezoidal sort of very defined lines situation. And what I was finding that, the magazine itself actually has very square lines to it as well. Again, that's kind of just the way it is, but on a lot of semi-autos, what you'll find is that the front portion here, for example, on a CZ75, the classic CZ75 magazine is very rounded in the front, so it slides into the magwell very easily. And what I was finding was that these corners here, and I think I might have mentioned this in another video, these corners were kind of catching on some of these angles here, and it was slowing my reload down a little bit. Now, what I will say is that that's largely a training issue. It's really me more than it is the gun. But what I ended up doing was I ended up taking the magwell on my competition gun and beveling out all these hard corners. And you can actually see right here that I extended the front of this magwell so that there's less of a chance of hitting any of those sharp angles. Even if you don't have a perfect insertion on the magazine, it will slide in just a little bit easier because you did away with those corners. So very slight modification, really not that big of a deal, but definitely something that's easy to do and does a lot to make the gun a little bit easier to reload. So if you're handy and you know what you're doing, or you want to send it to a professional, as far as production rules go, or changes needed, I shouldn't say needed, but changes that can really help this gun, beveling the magazine well is definitely a good idea. And I'll try and roll in, a couple of close-ups of what I did, but I'm not a videographer, guys, so this is mostly just me yakking for informational purposes, and the gun porn is just an added benefit. So thanks for watching.